Vanakam and welcome to our next installation of the Drink and Smoke series. And in this video, we're going into the river to see where alcohol or fermented juice would have been used or offered or consumed. And we are going into the Rig Veda, Book 8, Hymn 48, verse 3, where it translates, we have drank Soma and become immortal. We have attained the light the gods discovered. Right? Now what may foemen's malice do to harm us? What, O immortal, mortal men deception? Right? We also know when we look into the history of Soma also, Indradev, right? Indradev consumed, right, among certain amounts of Soma while he was fighting the super demon Vitra, right? We also know, right? We also know that in Vedic times there was something called a Soma Yagya. A Soma Yagya was a ritual done. It was done more or less performed after what is also called a Rajasura Yajna. The Rajasura Yajna was a ritual that was done to consecrate a king, a new king. Right, as I go forward in the other video where I will go into the Ramayana, we will see where these aspects are mentioned also. So we see in the Rig where it mentions Soma, as I said, it is a fermented juice, or more or less known in Tafameno, which will have like different. It is made from the Soma plant, and it is more or less added with other spices and so forth to ferment into a wine. Now, there are, when you look up more aspects of it and how it was created, how it was made, many people stated that that could have had elements of poppy, which comes from the opium plant. People would have stated that, it would have aspect of cannabis or hemp, right, or what we know as weed or marijuana. So there are different researchers when you look up this, that stated that the soma could have been consistent of other things also, and depending from different aspects of India. When we go back to that rich, we go back to that particular that to go back to the origin of it, the different places, based on different aspects of India, north, south, west, whatever. It could have been done a little differently from one aspect of India to the other. So we see, as again, in the Vedas, it mentions something called Soma. Soma, as I said again, fermented is a fermented wine that was offered to different devatas and or different or more or less to offer different gods. It was a ritual within Vedic times. It was prescribed. Also, that Soma Yajna was done more or less when you're performing a Rajasura, Rajasuya Yajna. Also, that aspect of ritual also was for the consecration of a new king. Right, you will see these elements mentioned in the aspect of the Valmiki Ramayana and the Anna Ramayana. And when I go in the next video, I will mention that also. So we see these things were done within Vedic times. Vedic aspects, Vedic rituals, which is known um, as Sharuta rituals, right? More as Vedic rituals, were these things were done. So we see there in the Vedas, as in the Rig Veda, it is mentioned, right? It has that element of offering fermented juice. Now, bear with me and stick a point there, because we are going to see lower down, where fermented juice or wine plays other parts also in different texts, in different contexts and in different texts, as in the Puranas, the Mahatmas, whatever that we will explore. It does have that aspect and so forth, and we will see where in particular in different Puranas, where in a Purana, should be saying, you will see where the mention of three particular types of fermented juice or wine is also mentioned in different tantras, right, to where the offering of to the Devi, and we will mention those as we go along. So In this video, we see within the Rig Veda, it is mentioned as we see the aspect of soma, which is a fermented juice or wine that was created from the soma plant for the prescribed ritual of a soma yagna, offering to different devatas and so forth, different gods. Right? One in particular would be, one in particular would be Intradev, Agni, and so forth. As you go in more depths, they will give you different. So it have Agni, it have Varun, and so forth. Right, that were offered these things. They are actually the god Soma himself. Right, there's a devata that is called Soma himself, Soma, and that also was offered to him. So we see in the Rigveda, repeating again, in the Rigveda, it is mentioned. So where foundation is concerned, in the Rigveda, right, it is mentioned whether as you research the mixture or the fermenting or the making of the soma, certain researchers state that it could have elements of cannabis in it, also certain elements of cannabis, and it could have had elements of poppy, that item that was more or less used to make opium. Right, so it had that different aspects also. So we see where those items comes into play, that was much manufactured in, these things were manufactured in India at certain intervals. I think more or less poppy would have been cultivated in the aspect when the Mughal dynasty, which was Emperor Akbar, was there, and so forth. Right, so you had that in particular. Right, there would have been certain places, certain aspects of South Asia that would have cultivated hemp, which would have made its way through caravans and different trades into the corridors of India also, so where these things would have been added also. So we see that aspect. So to recap, within we go into where alcohol mention or fermented wine mention within the Vedas, or in this case the Rig Veda, and we go back to mentioning book 8, hymn 48, verse 3. Right, we see the aspect of what is Soma is mentioned, and Soma was part of a ritual as known as the Soma Yajna. So it had this offering of more or less the fermented juice, which would have like Yajna. You would have hawans attached to it, other different offerings, well, but it was cultivated around that aspect of Soma, that fermented juice. And Soma Yajna was also part of the Rajasuya Yajna, which was the consecration of king, a new king. And when I go to the other video and going into the Valmiki and Ramayana and so forth, we will mention that. So we see here in this video again that it does state that fermented juice or wine in this aspect, some of that aspect of wine and that alcohol state was mentioned and was offered also within Vedic times. Since the days it was recorded into the Rig Veda, and we know for a fact when we do the research, it was part of Vedic rituals. It was part of the Sharuta rituals, which was Vedic rituals that was done more or less within Satyug, Treta, and some spark of Dwapar. As we came into Kali Yuga in that aspect, we saw transitions because there were a lot of Vedic rituals that was more or less not outlawed, but was more or less changed and was omitted to more or less chi into aspect to give us more of the Vaishnava aspect or more sattvic aspect of worship. Right, Vaishnavas would have omitted certain things to be more sattvic of nature in this aspect and so forth. So, you have those, but other movements would have say, okay, we want to move away. So we see that being done. So in this video, we see where Soma is concerned. Please join me for the other video where we will go into the Ramayana and see where it is part of a ritual that we may have not known it was there and would have bypassed it because it didn't state it or we didn't look it up. Alright, so please join me for that next video. Jai Sitaram.